Hey, it's Lori Fraley. Thanks for joining me in Lolo's Kitchen. I decided to dedicate today's video to holiday grilling leftovers. And I'm going to be making one of my most popular and most requested dishes, pork chimichangas. They're really easy to make. Takes a little time, but they're very easy. And they're crispy on the outside and flavorful on the inside. And the beauty is you can make a big batch. I'm going to try to make about 20 today. And you can use some for dinner, and then you can put the rest in the freezer. And so when you don't have time, you can just pop them in the oven if you're going to like it. So here we got our ingredients. I've got 2 pounds of shredded pork. This is from a pork butt that I cooked on the grill, and then the rest of the day in a slow cooker. It's really tasty. It has a lot of fat, so it has a lot of flavor. You don't have to use pork butt. You can use a pork roast. You can use leftover chicken from the grill. So we take the skin off and shred the meat. You can also use ground beef, ground turkey, just whatever you have. That's the beauty of this recipe. The pork is my favorite, and it's the most requested. So I've got 4 cups of cheese, and then 1 cup of corn kernels. You can use frozen corn. Just make sure you defrost it first. You don't have to cook it. Just make sure you just run it under some cold water. But it's about a cup. This is 2 ears of corn that I boiled, and then I just took it off the cob. I've got 1 whole onion that I sliced. I've got a cup of water, and then I have 4 tablespoons of taco seasoning. This would equal 2 packages if you bought packaged taco seasoning. I make my own. You can do whatever you like, but this is 2 packages or 4 tablespoons. Then I've got a package of flour tortillas. This is 20. I'm gonna do a big batch. So if you want to make this on a smaller scale, you can use half of these ingredients and mix about 8 to 10, I think, if you do it that way. But I like to make a bunch. I like to put some in the oven and then freeze the rest. And then I've got some butter, and this is going to make our tortillas nice and crispy in the oven, so you don't have to deep fry them the way you traditionally would do a chimichanga. This is a really, really nice recipe. So we're going to get started. We're going to cook up the meat, get it simmering, and then we'll cook the onions and the corn, and then we'll put it all together. So I've got my pork on the stove in a 4-quart pan. It's got a lid on for it. And I'm just going to sprinkle in my taco seasoning. And then I've got a cast iron skillet on this side that I'm going to do the corn. Pour in my water. Stir that around. Then over here we've got a cast iron skillet that's on about medium heat. I like to do my corn in a cast iron skillet because I like it to get a little dark. It gives it a lot of flavor. So I do my corn and my onions separate. Stir our pork. You just really want to cook this down and let it absorb all the water. You don't want it too runny. It'll make the chimichangas kind of soggy. You want them to be really crispy. So I try to get as much liquid out of this as I can. You just cook that for a little bit. going to cook this corn down until it gets a little dark on the sides, and then we'll take it up and then we'll cook our onions and get them nice and soft. So our meat has absorbed all that liquid. I'm going to take it off the burner and just set it aside. And then the corn, see if you can see this. See, it's got a nice, ooh, it's popping like popcorn. Nice and brown. I'm going to turn this down. Take this off the fire. I love these little brown bits. You don't want it to burn, but just that nice, nutty flavor it gets. Put that aside. And now we'll just cook the onions. You want to cook the onions on a high heat. You want them to really get nice and cooked down and brown. They sweeten up a lot. To this pan, I'm going to add a little butter. So we'll cook this down and then we'll put everything together. All right, so our onions and corn are all nice and cooked. I cooked these down. We got a little brown, the onions, and then I added the corn back in and put them in a bowl to cool. And I'm going to add a little bit of lime juice into this. You don't have to use this to this step. I think it gives it a little bit of tartness, offsets the sweetness a little bit. So just have a lime. Then I'm going to use a 9x13 pan. This is what I'm going to use for baking today. If you want to freeze them, I just take a sheet pan, put down a little paper, and roll them up individually, freeze them, and then I'll take them off after they're frozen a little bit, maybe 15-20 minutes, and then I put them in a bag, and then you'll have them all the time. So I got my tortillas. I took them out of the package, and then I just put a wet paper towel over them to kind of keep them from drying out. Take a tortilla, and then I've got my butter. This may be a teaspoon, a little more of butter. You don't want to get them too buttery, and some people will butter both sides. I'm not going to butter both sides. I just want the butter on the outside to crisp it up. Turn it over. I'm going to add a little bit of our pork that's cooled a bit. Put it on the bottom third and not all the way to the end because you're going to fold it. So you want a little room to work. And I put on a little cheese. This is shredded cheddar, and a little shredded Colby. You can use a Mexican cheese if you like. This is just what I use. But you can do it however, whatever flavors you like. And then I'm going to take some of this yummy onion corn mixture. Right on top right there. I think this is what makes it taste so yummy. So then all I'm going to do is just roll it, fold it over. And I'm going to fold the sides. And then just roll it over. Make sure the seam side is down. And I'm just going to place it in my dish. I'm going to do another one just to show you. You don't have to use butter for this either. You can use margarine. Butter is what I always have on hand. So you want the filling to be on the non-buttered side. You want the butter on the outside so you get the crispiness. And actually, my son, Steven, is the one who taught me this particular technique. I used to try to deep fry them. Ooh, that is a mess. This takes a few steps, but I think it turns out really well. Cheese. Fold it over. Fold it in the sides and just roll it up. And you want to place these same side down. And when you freeze them as well, you want to put them same side down. So I'm going to finish up here. And then we'll get our oven heated up and put these in the oven so you can see the finished product. Okay, our chimneys have been cooking in a 425-degree oven about 30 minutes. I turned them at about 15-20 minutes and they were brown. And then I turned them back over just for another 5 minutes. They're nice and toasty. And serve them up. See, they got nice and crunchy. Just make this in a little closer so you can see. I'm going to open it up for you. And the cheese is nice and melted. Nice and crunchy. Now, I like to eat mine with just a little sour cream, and I got some chopped tomatoes. But you can put anything with it. I also make a cilantro lime dip that's really good over top. That'll be a next video down the road. But also salsa verde you can pour over top. You can even put cheese on top and then bake it, but I don't like to do that because I think the cheese gets a little bit too done. But you can just jazz this up however you want. So I hope you'll try it. I hope you like it. And if you do make it and make a little changes, just leave me some comments. I always like to hear how people are improving my recipes or how they're doing a little different. And don't forget to like and subscribe.